How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? This is the Fans POV, where I talk about my two favorite sports, the NBA and the UFC. Right now, I want to talk about Sean O'Malley. Look, Sean O'Malley is a very polarizing personality, right? On one side, you have this eccentric, amazing, striking style. On the other side, you have this troll who loves to talk smack and who is unranked, but is also viewed as one of the best fighters in his division. It's very hard to know where he stands exactly because he hasn't faced the top competition. And I want to preface what I'm about to say with some praise of Sean O'Malley. Number one, I believe he has the skill and the ability to beat anybody in the 135 division. I want to make that very clear. Number two, I believe he also has the desire to become the world champion at the 135. I also want to make that very clear. However, what I'm going to be talking about today is Sean O'Malley bad for the sport? What I mean by that is he is a guy who has looked at the UFC and figured it out on a business model level, right? He has figured out that you can fight unranked fighters and still get paid more than everybody else, or just about the same, and not get your ass beat and not go out there and get brain damage, as long as you have a cool personality. Now, I'm going to compare Sean O'Malley to Conor McGregor for a bit, simply because they both have a very entertaining style of fighting, and they also have very dynamic personalities that draws people in. The difference between Sean O'Malley and Conor McGregor is that Conor McGregor was out there actually doing once-in-a-lifetime type of things, right? He was actually out there getting belts. He did really became the champ. It wasn't all hype. Conor McGregor did go out there and do something. I think a lot of people like to forget that. But with Sean O'Malley, he's really only beaten unranked guys. The one ranked guy that he fought, he lost to. So when you look at that story of Sean O'Malley, you have to start thinking, is this the new kind of fighter we're going to see? Is this the new stereotype? Because we saw people trying to be like Conor. I mean, you could argue Sean O'Malley is that. He's admitted himself that he takes a lot of inspiration from Conor McGregor. Once we see somebody do it successfully, everybody else starts mimicking. That's what happens. It's okay, I get it. That's the way life works. But the thing is, what happens when people start wanting to become internet celebrities? What happens when people want to start becoming more of an influencer rather than a fighter? Like I said, I don't think Sean O'Malley is trying to do that, but I think he's proven that you can do that. Sean O'Malley has proven that you can make a lot of money fighting tomato cans as long as you have a cool personality. So what happens when we start letting these fighters in who aren't that good, who only want to fight ranked fighters, but who get attention and steal attention away from the real fighters simply because they have a cool personality? Is that what we want for this sport? It's questioning the integrity, and it's a very gray area because in one hand, I like the entertainment. On the other hand, I also like the fighting. I like the skill. So it makes you question, what happens 10 years from now? Where will the sport be if everybody starts thinking that they can just come in? You don't have to be that great of a fighter. You just have to have a dynamic personality to get in the main card. Right now, it's not too big of a problem because that doesn't really happen too often. Most guys that are on the main card can actually throw down, like Sean O'Malley. Like I said, I want to make it very clear. I think Sean O'Malley has hands. I think he's a good fighter. But what happens when a guy who's not a good fighter, what happens when the CM Punks of the world, guys that don't deserve it, guys that are clearly not good fighters, start getting in the main card on a regular basis? What happens when people start using the UFC more as a career gateway rather than an actual passion? Right? What happens then? Because I predict that in a few years from now, because, as a society, we tend to encourage entertainment, right? We push it forward. We want to be entertained. We'd rather have the drama before the fight than the actual fight. A lot of people are like that. A lot of casuals are like that. And I understand it. But what happens when in 10 years from now, the UFC becomes the WWE and everybody starts having personas and everybody starts faking their personality so that they can get more views? What happens then? What happens when a mediocre fighter with a great personality is getting put and given opportunities above other fighters? And again, I understand it's happened before now. But what happens when it starts happening on the regular? When you can no longer control it, when you start seeing it in every fight card? It's something we should start thinking about. And I don't think Sean O'Malley is trying to do that. Like I said, I believe he is good enough and has the desire to go out there and become the world champion. But he set a really weird precedence for the UFC. I want you to listen to me, and I want you to listen to me good. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like, subscribe, maybe drop a comment. I might hit you back. As a matter of fact, I have 2 other YouTube channels that you might enjoy, and they're going to be linked in the description below. The first is called A Man's POV, where I talk about philosophical concepts and societal issues that we face every single day. The second YouTube channel is called An Idiot's POV, where I look at dumb little things on the internet that I find interesting and I react to them. So if you're interested in those, go watch them. I will be waiting for you with open arms and kisses. But if you don't like those kind of things, if you want to stay here for the sports talk, there will be more content coming soon. As always, have a great day and take care.